Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings. Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a weekly podcast from Practical E-Commerce, hosted by entrepreneur Eric Bandholz.
What is going on, Internet? Eric Bandholz back again with another amazing episode from E-Commerce Conversations. Hope all is going well on the other side of the Internet. On the other side of the Internet, to me, it's you. It's just you and me today. I wanted to give a little bit of update with how Beardbrand is doing heading into the holiday season. We're just wrapping up our October, and I have a little bit of insights. As you know, last time I recorded this episode, things were kind of at their worst. We're very close to their worst. So what we had done is we put our team on furlough, and that went for, I guess, about a month, 2 months until August, and our team's back full time. We're fortunate that we didn't have to let go of anybody for, kind of performance issues of the business. We did try to onboard a new hire to our Facebook marketing, and unfortunately, I didn't have the resources to give them to be successful in that role. And in doing so, when we had to part ways with that new hire, we ended up kind of reallocating those tasks and duties to another team member in Beardbrand. So the strategy now in October and going forward is still pretty similar. We want to focus on paid growth, Facebook growth as a channel for us. The big change that we did was we switched our Facebook marketing strategy from this kind of multi-phase testing strategy to bid caps. Now, I've been following Andrew Ferris for a long time. I don't know if everyone knows Andrew Ferris. He has a podcast called the Andrew Ferris Show or Andrew Ferris Experience, something like that. And I follow him on Twitter as well. And to me, bid caps make sense. It's just focus on your creative in Facebook and then let Facebook do the rest. So everything's pretty much super broad going out there. So we made that switch in the beginning of October. And the good news is we're seeing our cost per acquisition, fall in line with what our expectations are for profitable customer acquisition. The downside is we're spending nothing. So it's negligible amounts of money are currently going to our Facebook budget. I'm talking maybe $200 or $300 a day. And it's just kind of petering out. So we're only getting what is that? 4 conversions a day, and you're not going to scale any kind of way. So we're still trying to figure out bid caps and how to scale it and how to create the content that does scale on Facebook. And hopefully we can continue to see opportunity there. So it's nice in the sense that I know if I'm acquiring a customer on Facebook right now, it's not costing us a lot of money, but the downside is, we've got to figure out how to get our funnel. So I want to segue into kind of the state of the economy, maybe the unspoken word, without a doubt, from everyone I'm talking with, yes, I know there are people out there crushing it, the Sean Franks of the world who are just brilliant entrepreneurs. But I feel like the majority of people I'm running into are having very challenging years. And of course, not everyone's down, but we are down. And there's other entrepreneurs that are down. And also, I hear that Facebook has gotten really hard to acquire customers as well. So it doesn't help to hear everyone's down to me because when I run this business, I don't ever want to put blame outside of what I can do as an individual. I want to be in control of our success and failure. So, to me, like to say, oh, well, we're in a recession or the economy's down and, la-di-da, it doesn't really give me comfort because it's well, what do I do? And that is kind of the question, is like, if we are legit in a recession, what do you do? So when I think about what to do, I do think about it from the perspective of it being a tough time. And my strategy is going to be on the conservative side with how we approach new efforts and engagements and activities. I do think you constantly need to have a little bit of testing. You always have to be trying new things from a very small percentage, but not at the weight to, put your business at risk. So I would probably, if possible, avoid getting any kind of debt or getting any kind of line of credit. Instead, think about, how do I lower my expenses to be able to pay for my overhead, rather than how do I maintain, everything, and to leverage the business and grow even faster. Now, of course, every business is absolutely different. I had on the show a couple weeks ago, Paul with BK Beauty, and they continue to be on a rocket ship, just blowing up. And TikTok's been a big part of their efforts. Since recording and launching that episode, we've been trying to get our TikTok shop up and running. And I'll tell you, for those who have not embarked on this journey, TikTok shops has got to be like the buggiest software that I've interacted with. Like, products will be there and then they'll disappear and then they'll reappear. And then I'll have duplicate products like in the list, and then they will be approved and then they'll not be approved. And it's just like, like we were trying to get our brand registered. We have the registration, and it just kept on getting declined for like uploading the wrong registration document, which was like the only document we have. So it's just like, if you plan on embarking on something like TikTok, it's definitely going to be a buggy experience. Let's talk about Amazon. As you guys know, we launched on Amazon in January of this year with the hope to replace the volume that we were doing on Target. And it's been it ramped up really quickly. Like within the first 3 months, we kind of got to this point where we stayed at that 3-month mark for, like the next 6 or 7 months. And, again, it's not just Amazon and how we're going to Amazon, but we've had some growing pains on Amazon where Amazon was shipping out the wrong products, and of course, product issues, review issues, our ratings weren't high enough. And it's been a really challenging platform. And I'm very fortunate that, I'm kind of not managing all that, because I think it would drive me insane to have like an account like Amazon. It's almost like an account like Amazon and TikTok shops, that those elements are out of your control and you're kind of at the whims of these platforms and how they're doing. The good news is, as of a couple of days ago on Amazon, it looks like we're getting to the point where, we're approaching a 7-figure run rate, which is halfway to my own personal goals of where I wanted to be on the platform. So I'd like to be doing a couple $1 million on Amazon. I think we could do more, but kind of as a short-term goal, it was to get up to a couple $1 million. So it's nice to see us approaching that, getting closer to that as we get in the holiday season. And then we'll see into 2024 if that continues to ramp up, or if we are starting to see kind of like that holiday season push. Historically, Beardbrand, October has been stronger than September. And we kind of call it growing season, when the weather gets a little bit cooler and guys start to grow out their beards. Unfortunately, like this October was down for us. So we were down month over month compared to September of last month, which again is a little disconcerting. Maybe I can chalk a little bit up to our Facebook ad switch and trying to acquire customers a little bit differently. But I want to like kind of wrap up the year to this point. So last time I recorded this was at the end of June, early July. And, we had just hemorrhaged a ton of cash. Fortunately, we've seen that our cash flow has steadied out, and we're at I would say like a good position where, I'm not losing sleep over, the amount of money in our bank account and stuff like that. We haven't gotten to the point where we're really like throwing a lot of money back into savings. And, that is something that is kind of like a short-term goal for me. So I led into this a little bit earlier about like thinking about the business from a perspective of being in a down year or being in an economy. The last major recession, I would say, was 2008, 2009, and Beardbrand wasn't around them. So I didn't have to go through a really intense restructuring. I don't want to significantly scale back the business from where it's at now. I want to stay lean. And to me, what that means is ordering smaller inventory amounts than I would normally feel comfortable with, like kind of being okay with selling out of inventory and then buying again, or buying as we get really close to selling out and being out of stock for a couple weeks, just to make sure that all my cash is not tied up in inventory that may or may not move. So one of our strategies is to be heavy on cash, light on inventory. And of course, I know there is the risk of like you're not going to make any money if you don't have any products to sell. But on the other end of the spectrum, you really put yourself at risk if you've got all your capital tied into inventory that's not moving at all. So being able to have that flexibility to allocate resources to opportunities that may make a bigger impact, especially when you think about your product offering as SKUs you carry. Like really, you do want to make sure that you're carried in your big movers. So your top selling products, don't go out of stock in those. But if you have slower moving products, maybe not best sellers, maybe kind of like big purchases that require you to carry a lot of inventory of a product that's going to stick around, I would encourage you guys to, drag your feet a little bit in ordering those items as you get into the holiday season and really focusing on your best sellers and the ones that have, the margins that allow you to be sustainable in your business and kind of like withstand the storm. And then as things start to clear out, as kind of this recession moves behind us, then you start stocking up and having like that fuller inventory would be the strategy that we're kind of doing from an operations standpoint. Now, from a marketing standpoint, it's crazy because we're on our 11th year now. And, I always, for people that have followed me for a long period of time, you kind of know, like, we've always wanted to build this like business without, incentivizing through discounts. And promotions are okay, but discounting the products is generally something that I wanted to avoid. But something funny kind of happens when you start running the same business for a really long period of time. I guess you probably either dig your heels in and really like ride that to the grave, or you kind of open your mind. And I think like at this point, 11 years in, my mind is kind of like, well, that strategy of like being inflexible with offering discounts did not get us to our goals. It did not allow us to grow the business to the point that we wanted to grow. So if it is a tool that allows us to get to our intended, destination or one of our destinations, then, I guess we explore it. So we're exploring offering discounts to new customers, and we've been offering discounts to people who subscribe. And so we have seen, of the wins this year, we have seen nearly a doubling of our subscriber list. So that's been a nice little win for us as we push incentives. Other wins that we've seen have been our focus on driving up the average order value. And we did that primarily through two things. One, raising our prices, and two, launching a bundling program that I feel like is pretty unique. Basically, how the bundle works is if you add 3 items to your cart, you can add the 4th one for free, or you can add one more and the lowest price one will be for free. If you add 5 items to your cart, then you get to add 2 more for free. And then if you add 7 items to your cart, then you get 3 items for free. So there's this incentive to really build these really large cart programs. And we compared that bundle offer to like just a simple like 5%, 10%, 15% off like tiered bundling system where you spend more, you get a bigger discount. And it seemed like the free items definitely draw more action from our customers to bundle up and take advantage of those free items. And it's kind of crazy because if you think about it, if you have 3 items in your cart, you're like, oh, wow, my next one is free. So you go and you put a fourth one in your cart. So you have 3 items and a free one. Well, here's the deal is if you add one more item, you'll get up to 5 items in your cart. And then all of a sudden you get 2 more items. So then that takes you to, does that take you to 7? I guess it does. Am I doing that math right? It's so confusing that I don't even remember it. Let me see. Yeah, that's right. So you'll be at 7 products. So in theory, you could add 3 more items to your cart and have 3 of them be free versus the 2 free. So it's kind of like, it really does incentivize people to add items to their cart and kind of bump it up really quickly. Now you have to make sure your products have the margins on it and, you can kind of handle that. We do make sure that the ones that are free are the lowest price ones. So it does incentivize people to keep items around the same price point, because if you have a very low priced item in your cart, they're not going to throw that in there because, you only get a couple dollars off, $10 off, something like that for something that's inexpensive relative to a $50 product. So if you're interested in how that works, head over to beardbrand.com and then click on the how the bundles work, and you can kind of see the math behind that. So the downside of the bundling program and the higher price point is that our conversion rate has gone down quite a bit from when we were a lower price company. So overall, like our net revenue is going to be down, and it is down. However, we are not hemorrhaging cash like we were in the early days. So I feel like the cost of shipping, you're able to eat that a little bit more with the higher order price. You're doing fewer orders, so you're putting less of a burden on your team. And, you have less customer service tickets that you're dealing with as well. So it's just like, I personally would rather, like if the math works out where you can do, we'll keep it easy numbers, but let's say you do $1 million, or you could do $2 million. The $2 million you sell at $50 item, and the $1 million you sell $100 item. But both of them, it's like the $2 million company runs on 10% net profit, and the $1 million one runs on 20% net profit. And ultimately, the situation is the same. You're making $200,000 in both cases. You could argue that the smaller one that has more customers is more stable because you have more customers. There's going to be less risk associated with that. But you also have just like tighter margins. So if you're not hitting things the way you should be hitting it, or you're not getting the sales that you're supposed to, then it really puts a strain on your business. Whereas if you have the smaller business cranking out 20% profit, fewer customers, you can provide those customers a little bit nicer experience. You can spend a little bit more time packaging up things. You have like a little bit of breathing room to be able to serve them. It's just a lot less stressful business. And yes, maybe you are targeting a smaller niche. And yes, maybe if you want to sell your business, it's going to lower the valuation of your business. But if you're planning to build a business that you want to run and operate for years and enjoy the journey, I would highly recommend thinking about how you can develop a pricing structure and a service structure for your customers that err on the higher price point versus the lower price point. Now, this segues into like an interesting thought that I've been having about luxury products. I think there is this idea that you can launch a brand new company and business and set the prices at a luxury. So when I think of pricing, I think there's value pricing, which is essentially your goal is to be the lowest price point. There is mid-market, which kind of serves the majority of people. There's premium, which is at the upper end of like kind of mid-market. And then there's luxury, which is just pricing that has no effect or no relationship to the COGS, the cost of the product. It's just kind of like, how do we price this in a way that appeals to certain mentality? And I think like from my perspective, if you're a new brand or you're thinking about launching a company into the luxury standpoint, I would almost recommend against it. I think that the key to getting to be a luxury brand is to launching in that premium category with a product that is so innovative, so desirable that it forces it doesn't force you, but you essentially cannot keep up with demand. And when you cannot keep up with demand, that is what starts to drive the price to the goods higher. So you can look at the valuation of your products on a secondary marketplace and see what people are willing to pay for these items with limited supply. So that kind of gives you a frame where you want to create such high demand for your products that the cost can only go up. But I do think like when you come into a new company or you have a new company and you're like, all right, here's a luxury item, let's call it a bar of soap because that's what I meant. So most soap costs, $3 for the stuff that you get at mass market retailers to, like the higher end premium end, which is what we're in, probably the $15 to $20 range. And then let's say you want to do a luxury soap and that costs $50 for a bar of soap. It's like, how can you produce this bar of soap in such a way that at the $15 range, like you just cannot produce enough of it? It's almost like the Fight Club bars of soap from back in the 90s, that movie in the 90s. And how they're essentially using human fat to be able to produce that. Like people just ate it up, not literally, but that's how you would want to think about a pricing structure to get you to luxury, in my opinion. I think that's why you see a lot of kind of handmade items end up in the luxury space. So like your purses, your watches, your automobile, like things that take a lot of human capital to produce it, things that you cannot really scale, like, fine crystal or plateware, ceramics, stuff like that. All those things can start to get into that luxury space because there is that human element where you just cannot scale it. You just cannot produce enough of it to satiate the demand. And the only thing you can do is raise the price to be able to find that equilibrium in that supply and demand curve. Now we're approaching Cyber Monday, Black Friday. I kind of want to share what our strategies are for this. We historically have a ongoing promotion called December, where I think it's pretty unique. It's a giveaway every single day. And basically you enter by placing an order on our store. And depending on your order number, if the day of the month matches your order number. So let's say it's December 3rd. If your order number ends in 3, then you would win. And we do, I think we do like a $25 gift card. So we're doing it for the first 10 days, essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Those are all single digit numbers. So any order that ends in one of those numbers, so basically 1 in 10 of our customers are getting a $25 gift card for the first 10 days of the promotion. And then from there, it becomes 1 in 100 because, day 10, day 11, day 12, so on, you can do the math. And when we go to the 10th of the month, then we raise that to a $250 gift card. So we actually see a lot more interest for people who want to win that $250 gift card. So that's been a pretty fun promotion. To be a legal giveaway, it has to allow for an entry that is free. So we have digital downloads, posters, and I guess it's just posters that people can download to get their entry. We do limit the entries to 1 per day. So they can come in, order their free poster, get entered in, and get a gift card from there. So if you want to steal that idea, feel free to steal that. Historically, we do that in December, but this year we are moving it up to November. We call it November promotion, which we're pretty excited to launch, and we've seen good success with that. We've got a couple of new products that we'll be launching for Black Friday, and hopefully, depending on manufacturing abilities, we'll have like a surprise product launch during the holiday season. So that, again, is kind of contingent with our operations and if we can launch the product quick enough. But that's like kind of a but wait, there's more. So if any of the Beardbrand customers are listening to this, you didn't hear that. It's still not even like confirmed because I haven't gotten all the stuff approved yet and working. So it is like a last minute scramble, which it always seems to be. Like, I don't know why. We've been in business for 11 years and it always comes down to the last minute for everything, like getting the products in, getting them launched, getting them out to all the people that should be getting them before launch. So the hope is that I see a pretty good, November and December. Like the reality is the business where it's currently at is really at a break even. And I'm willing to ride a break even, through a recession. It's really challenging because when you've been doing this for so long, 11 years, you never envision being at this point. You always envision like, how do I grow and how do I like break through new plateaus? Never envision like falling backwards in such a major way. But over the past, 6 months, I've really come to terms with the fact that this is a brand new business. I almost have to look at Beardbrand again from like a startup perspective. What worked for us when we launched and the environment of the marketplace in 2013, 2014, 2015 is completely different than where we're at now in 2023 and going into 24 and 25. So how do I have a business that launches and grows? And the natural inclination for me is to like feel like a loser, feel like I'm incompetent, feel like a failure, and lose a lot of, like that mojo and energy that you need, that confidence that you need in running a business. However, I feel fortunate that I've been reminded from time to time, whether it be from my business partner or friends or just like random tweets I see on the internet, but it's like, I do get to show up. And if I think about it, like if I have a startup, right? Beardbrand to me right now is in startup mode and we're in testing mode and we're figure it out mode, but we're doing that at a much higher level than any kind of normal startup. Like I have like 9 team members and I have, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of customers who have bought from us in the past. And it's like, I have all these resources that I can build on. And even though we've fallen back to this point that most people who are just starting a business would absolutely dream to be at. So I have to constantly remind myself that the journey is the way, the challenge is the way, enjoying the process and enjoying the problems and being able to show up is the gift. And I know it's been said and it's kind of beaten in as a meme at this point, but being in the arena and being there, it really is the goal. So figure out how to suffer through these challenging days and these subpar performances and taper your expectations so that you can show up every single day and work to solve the problems and work to get excited about the things that you're excited about and launching, new products or a new website or a new marketing channel or a new distribution channel. Find those little wins and feed off of those wins, because once you get one win, it's like our AOV is up, our subscription rate is up. And I know that now that's going to compound. As I figure out Facebook ads, that higher AOV is only going to compound for the business. So those wins are in your business. If you're struggling now and things seem hopeless, things are down, I'm right there with you. It sucks. It is not fun. It is not confidence inspiring, but you will be able to find those wins if you show up every single day. You are not lost. The business is not over. It is not out of business. You have not, given up. You haven't sold it. You can fight forward and find those opportunities and make your business be the thing that you want to be. And don't let your weird perceptions of what you think the business should be and it not be that hold you back. Because understand that your own perception, your own benchmarks for you where you want it to be are just arbitrary. You just made it up because you heard a podcast that someone else was doing some $1 million or one of your friends is doing this or someone grew this quickly. That's all arbitrary. Focus on what you got. Focus on where you've been. Focus on all the things that you've built and focus on the pathway to allow you to build something amazing and great. So guys, I hope you guys are hanging in there. I hope to see you guys on Twitter. Hope all is well. Thanks for listening. Cheers. Keep on growing.